Yam Brahma Varunendra Rudramardustunanti Divyaistavaihi Vedai Sangapada Kramopanishadaihi Gayanti Yam Samagaha Dhyanavasthita Tadgatena Manasa Pashyanti Yam Yogino Yasyandam Navidussura Suraganaha Devaya Tasmai Namaha Om Sudhismadipurananam Alayam Karunalayam Namami Bhagavat Padam Shankaram Loka Shankaram. So, in the last session, we made a very interesting statement, a very important statement. The Lord is Bhagavan, Jnana Aishwarya, Shakti, Bala, Virya, Tejo, Visada, Sampannaha. So, God is endued with all these bhagas, Jnanam, Aishwaryam, Shakti, Balam, Virya, Teja, etc. Still, He takes birth as a human being for the good of humanity. Now, if Shankaracharya had not used this particular expression, Eva, which he has used 3 times here in this paragraph, then the opponents, the Dvaidins or Visishta Dvaidins, could have argued that he also accepted incarnation, avatara. But avatara is not an absolute reality in Advaita Siddhanta. So he uses the word Eva, which means as though, 3 times, so that the opponents won't get an opportunity to criticize and make an assertion that the avatara theory is acceptable to Advaitins also. So the word Eva is very significant from this standpoint of Advaita Siddhanta. Now we are continuing the commentary. The Bhashyakara continues, So prayojana abhave api bhudan Ujikritshaya, which means anugrihechaya, Vaitikam hi dharmadvayam arjunaya shoka moha mahodadho nimagnaya upadidesha. Gunadigaihi hi grihitaha anushthiyamanaha cha dharmaka prajayam gamishyati iti. So, God has no special purpose to serve, not desire to be fulfilled by taking birth as a human being. He is perfection itself. He is perfect. If anyone has a desire to do something, to achieve something, or to be born, it means there is some imperfection in that person. But God is perfect. So there is no special purpose for him. Still, so prayojana abhave api. Though he has no special purpose to serve, nothing to achieve, no desire to be fulfilled, nothing specially to be attained, still he takes birth from an Advaita point of view, as though he appears to be born as a human being. That's the point, that point should be understood. The reason is Bhudan Ujikritshaya. He wants to bless, he wants to protect, and he wants to help the humanity, spiritual seekers, who go through these endless circles of birth, life, death and rebirth. Karma, vritti, samskara, vasana. Again karma, vritti, samskara, vasana, this karma chakram or samsara chakram. This wheel goes on rotating right from the beginning of time. So there are a few great spiritual seekers. Sahasrana manusheshu kasyatati siddhai. A few among thousands may strive to get out of this rotating wheel of samsara. To help them, to give them a helping hand, God incarnates from time to time whenever there is a decadence of dharma and correspondingly there is an increase of adharma. So the only purpose is bhudan ujigritshaya, just to bless, to help mankind, anugrahechaya, and not only that, to preserve, to protect the Vaitikam hi dharma, that pravritti dharma, nivritti dharma, which constitutes the Vaitika dharma, the vidhoki vedokta dharma, pravritti lakshana, nivritti lakshanascha, jagadasthiti karana. Praninam sakshat abhyuday nisresa hetuhu. So there are not many people who strive to reach the highest liberation, nisresa, nivritti. So the majority of people are going through this endless cycle of life, death and rebirth. For them, dharma is important. In their pursuit of karma, they try to achieve the means for fulfilling those karma. It's called artha. In their pursuit of making use of artha, different means for achieving their goal, the karma, their desire, they should not deviate from the path of dharma. So that's why the Lord has no purpose at all to be born. Name parthasti kartavyam trishu lokeshu kinchana nanavaptam avaptavyam varte evacha karmani. Lord Krishna himself says in the 3rd chapter, 2nd verse. He addresses Arjuna, I have nothing to achieve in these 3 worlds. Still I am always active, just for the mangala, loka mangala, for the good of humanity, for the welfare of humanity, to preserve dharma and to counteract the forces of adharma. The Lord takes birth from time to time. And here one interesting point is mentioned. Vaidikam hi dharmadvayam arjunaya shoka moha mahodadho nimagnaya uvadidesha. Now we are coming to the context of Gita. Why did Lord Krishna choose Arjuna to teach this dharma, Vaidikam dharma? Why did he choose Arjuna as a disciple? There are many characters, there are many personalities in the Mahabharata who are spiritually much more exalted, much more elevated, much more highly evolved and advanced in spiritual life than Arjuna. Bhishma was there, Vidura was there, Yudhishthira was there. There were many, quite a few great saints and also women like Kunti, Gandhari. They were exalted women, spiritual personalities. But Lord Krishna specially chose Arjuna to teach Gita. There is a reason for it. When you give a great message to somebody, you should teach to a person who will be able to make use of what you teach him. Yudhishthira knew all that Krishna teaches in the Gita. Bhishma was a great scholar, a saintly person. He was a superman, as he is called. Kripa, Vidura, they were all highly exalted saintly figures. So they knew most of these teachings. Uddhava was a great saint. He was a wise man. So they all knew, in theory, they all knew what Lord Krishna teaches in the Gita. So if Sri Krishna had taught them, it would not have any special impact. They will get a chance for revision, that's all. So, Atyanta Uttamadhigaris. Atyanta Uttamadhigari means those who are extremely fit for the highest spiritual teachings. If you teach them something, it won't have any special effect because you will be only teaching them something which they already know. And on the other hand, if you teach those who are spiritually unfit for this higher teaching, it would be of no use. Suppose Lord Krishna had taught all these great teachings, yet Suppose, for imagination's sake, let's imagine Lord Krishna had chosen Duryodhana, Dushasana, all evil personalities, evil characters in the Mahabharata to teach Gita. It won't have any effect. So, Uttamadhigaris, Atyanta Uttamadhigaris, they already know all these teachings. And Atyanta Athamadhigaris, like Duryodhana, Dushasana, etc., it won't have any effect. They are evil persons. They won't understand what Lord Krishna was teaching. And they won't care to understand either, because they are Atyanta Athamadhigaris, characters like Duryodhana, Dushasana, etc. So, Atyanta Uttamadhigaris, no use teaching, because they already know, not necessary. And Athamadhigaris, it is of no use at all, because they will understand. So, who is the right person to receive instruction? Those who have got Shraddha, those who have got dedication, those who have respect for the teacher, and those who are willing to practice what they are taught, and those who have the energy, the integrity, the courage to practice, to implement what they are taught. Only such persons are fit to receive a great teaching. First, that person should be in need of that great teaching. Second, that person should be capable of implementing these great instructions in their actual practical life. They should be willing to practice, and they should be capable of practicing. They are called Uttamadhigaris. So Arjuna belonged to this category. Bhishma, Kripa, Yudhishthira, Vidura, Uddhava, all these great characters. Uddhava, of course, is a prominent character in the Bhagavad Purana. They are all highly exalted spiritual personalities. They are Atyanta Uttamadhigaris. It's not necessary for them to learn these things. They already know. Karma, Jnana Yoga, Karma Yoga, Bhakti Yoga. They all know. And villainous people, evil personalities like Duryodhana, Dushasana, such people, they are unfit. They are Atyanta Adhamadhigaris. They will never care to give any Shraddha for these great teachings. So, but Arjuna, on the other hand, he was Uttamadhigari. He was neither Adhamadhigari nor Atyanta Uttamadhigari. He was just Uttamadhigari, which means he had Shraddha, he had integrity, he was sincere, he was in need of these great teachings, and also he was willing to obey Lord Krishna's teachings. That's why it was the end of Gita in the 18th chapter, approaching the end, the conclusion of the whole text. Lord Krishna makes it very clear, Idande na tapaskaya, na bhaktaya kadachana, na cha asusave vakyam nayomam apyasuyati. You should not give this teaching, you should not impart this teaching to those who do not have tapa, who do not have chitta ekagryam, restraint, mental control, sense control. And you should not teach this to those who do not have devotion, idante na tapaskaya, na bhaktaya kadachana. And also those who are jealous of the teacher, those who may work against the teacher from behind. Such people are not fit. They don't deserve to be taught. They are not fit for this higher teaching. So Lord Krishna chose Arjuna as his disciple, as the person fit for receiving this great teaching. So Gunadikehi grihitaha anushthiyamanaha. If a great teaching is taught to a worthy person who is fit for that instruction, then what is taught itself will increase, will grow 100-fold, 1,000-fold. It will be preserved, and it could be preserved through this succession of teachers, and it may become a great blessing to the whole humanity. Prachayam Gavishyati, then the dharma will prosper. Of course, here is a very, very interesting, very important point with regard to Arjuna's character that is mentioned in this sentence. Arjunaya shoka moha mahodadho nimagnaya upadidesha. So what kind of person was Arjuna? What was his predicament? What was the situation under which Krishna happened to teach this great wisdom, spiritual wisdom to Arjuna? If you look at the first chapter, you find that Arjuna begins his dialogue, his lamentation, on the 28th verse. Arjuna uvacha dushtvevam sujanam Krishna yutsum samavasthidam sidanti mamagatrani mukham cha parisushyati vebaduscha sarire me romaharsascha jayade kandivam samsadegastva tuchaiva paridakhyade nacha saknomi avasthadu bhramati vachame manaha. This is how Arjuna begins a description of his own predicament. Mentally, physically, he was facing a big internal and external crisis. Mind was completely out of control, was highly deluded, seeing his own cousins, friends, and those who were his elders, including Drona, who was his teacher, Bhishma, who was his great ancestor. He was the senior most member of that clan. So they were the people assembled against him with whom he was supposed to fight. So imam sujanam drushtva yutsum samavasthidam. They have come there to fight with him. So seeing them as his adversaries, he was completely upset. He became so sad, grief-stricken, and he continues his lamentation. Nimittani ja pashyami vivaridani keshava na ja srayon pashyami hatva sujanamahave na kamkshe vijayam krishna na cha rajam sukhani cha. So he goes on lamenting, describing his predicaments. Well, I don't want kingdom, I don't want any of these things. So he goes on lamenting. And then in the second chapter, he gives a clue as to how he felt internally. Karpanya dosho bhagada svabhava prachhamitvam dharma sammuda chetaka yet shreyasya nishchidam bruhidanme shishyasteham chadimam tvam prapanna. So he himself says he completely lost his control, he has become completely deluded, and he was in a totally helpless, grief-stricken condition. So that was his condition. This is the 7th verse of the 2nd chapter. He says, Karpanya doshu bhagata svabhava. His mind and his intellect had become completely deluded. So he continued this lamentation. And towards the end of the 18th chapter, he says, Nashto moga smadil lagdha tut prasadad maya achyuda sidosmi gada sandeha karishe vajanandava. That's what he says at the end of the 18th chapter. He says, no, I am free from all doubt, all confusion. I shall act according to your instruction. Arjuna tells Krishna towards the end of the 18th chapter, after receiving the instruction of Bhagavad Gita. So there's a great transformation that had come upon him. But what was the condition of Arjuna's mind at the beginning or before the Gita started, before the instruction began? That's what Bhashya says, Shoka moha mahodadho nimagnaya. He was completely immersed in the ocean of delusion, ignorance and grief, self-doubt, a kind of depression in modern language. That was Arjuna's predicament. To such a man, Lord Krishna gave this instruction. And what was the result? After receiving all these instructions, at the end of the 18th chapter, after Lord Krishna had completed his instruction, Arjuna says, Nashto moha smidul labdha tatprasadarmaya achyuta. By your grace, as a result of this instruction, I am now free from all doubt. My doubts have vanished. My delusion, my ignorance all have vanished. Arjuna tells Krishna. So, just in a short expression, in short phrase, in a very short phrase, which is not even one full sentence, Bhashyakara says, Choka moha mahodudhu nimagnaya. Arjuna thought, I am this body mind complex, that's my true entity. When he realized the fact that his true nature is the eternal, immortal, imperishable Atman, he was free from all doubt. That's what happened at the end of the 18th chapter. Now Lord Krishna says how this Gita came to be written, composed by the great author Vyasa. Tam dharmam bhagavada yathopadishtam veda Vyasaha sarvajño bhagavan Gita khehi saptabhihi shloka shataihi upa nivabandha. So this dharma, which Lord Krishna taught in the battlefield of Mahabharata, was recorded by Vyasa. And Vyasa is described as Sarvajña and Bhagavan. Here the word Bhagavan is used not as an adjective to Lord Krishna, but as an adjective to Vyasa himself, the great author of Mahabharata, who is also the one who, Bhagavad Gita is just a small fraction of Mahabharata. So what Lord Krishna taught Arjuna in the battlefield of Kurukshetra, Vyasa recorded, and he recorded in a small composition containing 700 verses divided into 18 chapters. Of course, I already mentioned yesterday, there are some authors who take a clue from the 43rd chapter of the Bhishma Parva, and according to them, Bhagavad Gita contains not 700 but 745 verses. So they say 620 verses were uttered by Sri Krishna, and 57 verses by Arjuna, 67 verses by Sanjaya, and just one verse by Dhritarashtra. So total 745 verses. But this is not fully corroborated. The verse that is found in the 43rd chapter, that means the chapter that comes after Gita Prabhupada. We should remember Bhagavad Gita is from Bhishma Parva of Mahabharata, from 25th to 42nd chapter. In the 43rd chapter, there is just one verse which indicates that Gita contains 745 verses. The verse is Shat-shatani sambishani shlokanam praha keshava Arjuna saptapanjasat saptasashtim tu Sanjaya. This is the Dhritarashtra shlokamekam Gitaya manamuchyate. This is the verse. Of course, we are not directly concerned with this. Now the Bhashyakara continues. Tad idam Gita Shastram samasta vedartha sara sangraha bhudam durvikneyartham. Very famous statement. What is the importance, the uniqueness of Bhagavad Gita? So if we cannot read the Vedas, and if we cannot read other important texts related to Hindu tradition, Hinduism or Vedanta, it is enough to study Bhagavad Gita. So Bhagavad Gita in a way contains the science and also the technology of Vedanta. Tadidam Gita Shastram. So Bhashyakara calls Gita a Shastram. Shastram is science. So the definition of this word Shastram is Shasti Trayate Anena Idi Shastram. So the word Shasti originates from the Sanskrit root Shas, which means to instruct. So there is a precision, there is a scientific plan behind these great instructions. So the traditional scholars say it is Shastram. Shasti Trayate Anena Idi Shastram. Again, similarly, the word Trayate. So Trayate means protects. So Gita contains a set of very precise scientific rules and regulations which, if we follow, will protect us, will preserve our spiritual heritage, will help us, will guide us in our spiritual life. So Gita Bhashyakara says, Gita Shastram Samasta Vedartha Sara Sangraha Bhutam is a condensation, the gist, the essence of all the teachings enshrined in the 4 Vedas. Durvigneyartham. It's not easy to understand. Those who are spiritually evolved can understand the meaning of Bhagavad Gita. So one important point to remember is, unlike material sciences, our understanding of a great spiritual scripture is in direct proportion to our own spiritual growth and evolution. Because without some kind of spiritual sadhana, spiritual practice, yama, niyama, etc., ahimsa, satya, steya, brahmacharya, parigraha, shauja, sandosha, tapasva, adhyaya, isapunitha, which are yamas and niyamas according to Patanjali. And also some degree of sadhana is adushta sampatti. Nitya nitya vastu viveka, ikamutra phala bhoga viraga, samadhishraka sampatti, mumukshuttu. So when we reach a particular stage in our spiritual growth and evolution, when we feel that, well, it's enough with this world, and when we turn our inquiry inward, and when we try to become introspective, contemplative, looking for higher meaning behind this mysterious phenomenon of existence and our own life, before we reach that level of spiritual evolution, we may not fully understand even the literal meaning of many of the statements from the Gita. So one of the reasons for constant doubts is that we have not evolved enough to fully understand the meaning. That's why without some degree of sense control, contemplative habit, and purity of mind, purity of life, we may not fully understand, but still we will understand to some extent. So we should continue spiritual practice more and more. Then our mind becomes more and more ready to understand the meaning of Bhagavad Gita. So how do we become spiritually fit? So I can give one illustration from the work, from the writings of Saint Teresa of Avila. It is a synthesis of human effort and also God's grace. So Saint Teresa of Avila takes the example of a gardener or a farmer who is trying to irrigate his field. The field in this context, in the context of a spiritual person, is his own mind. So the illustration is this: a gardener or a farmer is trying to irrigate his field, but the field is not yet ready. It is full of thorns, weeds, grass, and also pebbles and stones. He could irrigate the field in so many different ways. He can he can dig a canal, he can dig a well, he can bring water from the nearby well or a river, he can use a water mill. There are many ways of bringing water to the field. Innumerable ways. But one important point, before he undertakes this job of irrigating the field, bringing water to the field, connecting to the river or the stream to the field through a canal, he must remove all the weeds and grass and stones and unnecessary growth from the field, so the field should be made ready, fit for irrigation. Then only watering the field will be beneficial. And after the field is ready for irrigation, he should irrigate the field, sow the seed, then he will get the result. And in the process, if it starts raining all of a sudden, it's like the grace of God. But even before it starts raining, even before we get the grace of God, our mind should be ready. Then only we will be able to make use of God's grace. So we should become grace worthy before we proceed further. So even to understand the spiritual meaning, the inner essence of a great holy scripture like the Bhagavad Gita or the Upanishads, we must try to practice sense control, contemplation, meditation, yamas and niyamas, which I already have referred to, and also we should develop a strong sense of desire for higher life, liberation. Then only we will be able to understand even the literal or intellectual meaning of Bhagavad Gita. That's why the Bhashyakara makes a very profound statement. It is the essence of the whole Vedic literature and philosophy, and also Durviknyayartham. It is not easy to understand to those, it is difficult to understand for those who are not ready, spiritually not fit to understand. So we should strive to attain more and more spiritual fitness. Then Bhashyakara continues, Tadarthavishkaranaya anekaihi vivruda padapadartha vakyartha nyayamapi atyanta virudha anegarthatvena laukikaihi grihyamanam upalabhya aham vivekataha artha nirdharanartham samksheptaha vivaranam karishyami. How Bhashyakara, Sri Shankaracharya himself, happened to compose this Bhashyam, this commentary. That's what is outlined here. Tadarthavishkaranaya anekaihi vivruda padapadartha vakyartha nyayamapi atyanta virudhanegarthatvena laukikaihi grihyamanam upalabhya. So, in order to elucidate, in order to make the meaning of Gita known to the common people, many scholars, many commentators, interpreters have written commentaries following the time-honored tradition of Padavakya Pramana, that is Vivruda Pada Padartha Vakyartha Nyayamapi. So they are followed intellectually, they are followed the traditional, the time-honored tradition of Padavakya Pramana. But the problem is Atyanta Virudhanegarthatvena. Such interpretations or commentaries contain a lot of ideas which are mutually self-contradictory, which are contradictory with each other. So a lot of contradictions, mutually contradictory interpretations and ideas are found in many of these commentaries that Bhashyakara is referring to. Therefore, he wanted to reveal the true meaning of the Lord Krishna's teachings in the Gita. For that, Vivekataha Artha Nirdharanartham, to properly understand the meaning of this great text, I am writing a brief commentary. The commentary is really not brief from our standing. It's a very elaborate commentary, and right now it is supposed to be the greatest commentary of the Bhagavad Gita. When we proceed further, we will understand that Bhashyakara is most probably referring to one of the earlier commentators. His name was Bhattu Prapancha, who is supposed to have written a very elaborate commentary on the Bhagavad Gita. He tried to establish that the central teaching of Bhagavad Gita is Jnana Karma Samuccayavada. That means even after attaining the highest spiritual realization, one should continue the practice of rituals, karma karmas. Many of these rituals enshrined in the Brahmana literature, in the Karmakanda Vedas. So even after attaining the highest spiritual realization, one should not give up Karmakanda. One should continue the practice of rituals along with Jnana. So his theory, his doctrine is known as Jnana Karma Samuccayavada. According to traditional scholars, there are two other earlier writers who have held such similar view, Brahmadatta and Mandana. We will deal with those ideas later. So that's now Bhashyakara continues. Tasya asya Gita Shastrasya Samkshepatah Prayojanam Param Nisrayasam. Now, there is a very interesting, very important point to remember. What is the prayojana? What is the purpose of Gita? The purpose of this book, the benefit of this book is moksha. That's the prayojana. Moksha means liberation. So the subject of discussion is Parabrahman or Paramatma, the Atma. Brahma Vidya is the Vishaya and Prayojana is Moksha. The final release. And the relationship between these two is called Sambandha. So Shastra, Vishaya, Sambandha, Prayojana, these are all technical terms. So Bhashyakara says, Tasya asya Gita Shastrasya Samkshepatah Prayojanam Param Nisrayasam. Moksha or liberation. Liberation from this rotating wheel of samsara chakra. Due to our karmas, prarabdha karmas, sanchita karmas, we are destined to be born in such a particular family, in a particular situation, and propelled and compelled by the baggage of our own sanchita karmas, which have already started fruition as prarabdha karmas. We inherit certain characteristics, certain tendencies, vasanas, vrittis, and accordingly we go on acting. Our actions produce fresh samskaras and vasanas, and depending upon them we are born again. So this samsara chakra or karma chakra, this rotating wheel of samsara, continues. A wheel doesn't begin anywhere and it doesn't end anywhere. When it's an eternal progression, a straight line, you can say it begins somewhere and it ends somewhere. But a wheel or a cycle doesn't begin anywhere, it doesn't end anywhere. So it goes on rotating. But those who have done nishkama karma or trying to do nishkama karma reach a particular stage of chitta shuddhi, they feel the need to come out of this samsara chakra. And then they start practicing doing spiritual practices. They want to come out of this cycle. This liberation from the samsara chakra, this cycle is called moksha or liberation. This is the ultimate benefit, the goal of Bhagavad Gita. And this is possible only when we realize that We are not this body-mind complex. Body comes and goes. So, this body goes through cycles of life and death. Dehinosmi yatha dehe kaumaram yavvanam jara tatha dehandara praptihi dhirastatra namukyati. The second chapter Lord Krishna says. So in this body, this Atma remains. The Atma doesn't become old. It doesn't go through this stage of birth, old age or death. But body goes through these changes. So dehinosmi yatha dehe kaumaram yavvanam jara tatha dehandara praptihi dhirastatra namukyati. Dhira is buddhiman, a realized person, a wise person who understands the reality, the real truth that we are Atman. We are not these body-mind complexes. Such a person is not worried about this. So this total freedom from worry, total freedom from dukkha, total freedom from the samsara chakra, that's the param prayojanam, that is nisrayasa. And the real cause, the original cause of this samsara chakra is avidya. And avidya is the real cause of the samsara chakra. So sahetukasya samsarasya atyanta uparamalakshanam. So this samsara should come to an end, cessation of samsara, cessation of this cyclic existence. It should come to an end along with its cause. Not only samsara, but what causes samsara, the cause of samsara also should come to an end, should cease to exist. And that is avidya. And that avidya can come to an end, it cease to exist. That avidya can be removed only through vidya. So if there is anything that removes avidya, it should be vidya. And this removal of avidya, this complete cessation of avidya, which is the cause of samsara, is the ultimate purpose of studying the Bhagavad Gita. Tacha sarva karma sannyasa purvakat atma jnana nishtharupat dharmat bhavati. So how do we come out of this samsara chakra? Sarva karma sannyasa purvakat atma jnana nishthat. So atma jnana nishtha is the only way to come out of the samsara chakra. That's the only way by which we can put an end to this cycle which is caused by avidya. But before that we must practice sarva karma sannyasa. Sarva karma sannyasa means, here karma sannyasa means giving up of all kama karmas, technically speaking. Because Bhashyakara had in mind the views of Mimamsakas, who used to argue that karma should and will never come to an end. Karma here always means kama karmas, as enshrined in the Brahmana texts and also the Mimamsa texts, Saptaha Yajnas, which are to be practiced by Grihasthas. So Bhakti Prapancha and other philosophers who upheld this Jnana Karma Samuccayavada believed and taught that rituals will never come to an end and should never come to an end and should never be renounced. But Shankaracharya says, once you reach Chitta Shuddhi, then you transcend rituals, you give up all kama karmas, which is called sarva karma sannyasa, renunciation of all karmas, all rituals. And after that, you get jnana prapti. Karmanishthaya chitta suddhidvarena purushartha hedutvam na swadandriyana. Jnana nishtha tu swadandriyana purushartha heduhu anyana apekshati, Bhashyakara says elsewhere. So, karma nishtha or nishkama karma, practicing karma without kartrutva bhoktrutva bodha, will take us up to Chitta Shuddhi. And once we attain Chitta Shuddhi, then our mind becomes pure, we become fit for Jnana Prapti and Moksha. This is the scheme. Tatha imam eva Gidartha dharmam uddishya Bhagavada eva uttam Sahi dharma suparyapto Brahmana padavedani iti anugidasu. Here Bhashyagara is referring to a very important portion of Mahabharata. Tatha imam eva Gidartha dharmam uddishya Bhagavada uttam. The same Gidartham, this central teaching of Gita was emphasized by Bhagavan, Lord Krishna, in Anugita. So Anugita is Ashwamedhika Parvam, the 43rd chapter. So it comes in Mahabharata. It's called Anugita. So Bhashyagara quotes one very important portion of that Anugita. Sahi dharma suparyapto brahmana padavedani iti anugidasu. So it comes from elsewhere. Sravidastu maya guhyam jnavidascha sanatanam dharmam surupinam partha sarvalokamsha shashwatan abuddhyana agrahiryastu tanme sumagada priyam najasyadya punarbhuya smudirme sambhavishyati nunam asaddhadhanosi tudmedha kesi pandava naja shakyam punarvaktum aseshena dhananjaya sahi dharma suparyapto brahmana padavedani na shakyam tanmaya bhuyas tatha vaktum aseshatah. So Lord Krishna himself says in the Anugita. See, the story is this. After Mahabharata, after Mahabharata war was over, one day Krishna was traveling along with Arjuna to Dwaraka. Then Arjuna asked some doubts about some of the teachings that Lord Krishna had already elaborately discussed in the Bhagavad Gita. So Krishna says, I don't actually remember all those great teachings. At that time in the Mahabharata battle, Lord Krishna was in an inspired mode. So he actually scolds Arjuna. He says, Sravidastu maya guhyam jnavidascha sanatanam dharmam surupinam partha sarvalokam shashwata abuddhyana agrahiryastu tanme sumagada priyam. See, because you did not have enough Shraddha, so you could not fully understand what I taught you in the Bhagavad Gita. So I'm unhappy with you right now. But I don't remember. So Lord Krishna says, what he taught in the battlefield during the Mahabharata war was taught in an inspired mood. It is not a normal conversation or a dialogue. Those words were inspired words. And later, Lord Krishna says in the Anugita, I am not able to remember all those great ideas which I taught you in that inspired mode. But keep this much. Sahi dharma suparyapto brahmana padavedani. That dharma is enough for you to attain Brahma Vidya, Brahma Jnana. That's the instruction. So that's what is referred to. Which means the Gita is a teaching designed to take humanity to the highest spiritual perfection. Kincha anyadavi tatraiva uktam naiva dharmi nacha adharmi nacha iva shubha shubhi yasya degasane linastushnim kinchidavi chintayen. So this is another quotation from the Mahabharata. So of course this sloka is not found in today's version of Mahabharata, but it must have been there earlier. So a person, a spiritual seeker, who is endowed with this Shraddha, if he remains in solitude with perfect concentration and contemplation and meditates on the absolute reality, he will reach that goal. Jnanam sannyasa lakshanam iti cha. Iha api cha ante uktam arjunaya sarvadharman parityajya mamekam sharanam vacha. Aham tva sarvapapebhyo mokshayishyami ma sucha. In the Bhashya, Bhashyakara again says, at the end of his teaching, he calls Charama Sloka. In the 18th chapter, 66th verse, Lord Krishna says, if you cannot remember everything, I shall give you the gist of what all I have taught you so far. That is, you surrender, you dedicate, you offer all the dharmas, all your ideas or concepts of dharma and adharma, all your actions to me. Because if we can dedicate our whole life, our thoughts, our ideas, even accidental, incidental ideas or concepts to God, then God becomes a reality in our everyday life. So that will make our mind submerged in the divine presence of the Lord. That's the secret of surrender. If we can surrender our life, our actions, our thoughts and ideas, our concepts of dharma and adharma, everything to God, then God becomes a part of whatever we think, we act and speak. So that is a kind of prapatya saranagati. So Lord Krishna says, this is the central teaching of Bhagavad Gita for a practical spiritual seeker. It's called prapatti. From the highest devotion point of view, Sharanagati or prapatti. Anugulyasya sankalpakam, pradigulyasya varjanam, rakshasiridi vishwasa, goptukta varanam tatha, atmanikshepakarpanne, sabvidha sharanagati. Keeping our mind full of positive ideas and avoiding negative ideas, and looking upon God as our guide and protector, and a strong conviction that God will protect me, rakshasidi vishwasa, goptukta varanam tatha, looking upon God as the one protector, and atmanikshepakarpanne sabvidha sharanagati, surrendering ourselves to God. So these are the qualities that are necessary for a person to surrender himself and his life and all his actions and words and thoughts to God. That's called the Charama Sloka or the Bhagavad Gita, the most important verse from a practical devotion point of view. Now in the next section, Bhashyakara brings out one important point of Karma Yoga, which is mentioned here. Abhyudayartha abhi ye pravritti lakshano dharmo varnasramancha uddisya vihidaha sa devadisthana prapti hetuhu api san ishwararpana buddhya anushthiyamanaha sattva-suddhe bhavati phalabhisandhi varjitaha sat Shuddha Sattvasya cha jnananishthā yogyata prapti dvarena jnanotpatti hetutvena cha nishreyasa hetutvam api pratipadyate. Now this abhyudaya or pravritti lakshana dharma means the normal course of human life and existence. In the Vedantic context, you begin your life as a student, then you enter Grihasthashrama and you do your duty in the normal sitting of an householder, and then when you get aged, when you have done all your duties and responsibilities, you take to contemplative life. This is called Abhyudaya, normal course of life. In the Taittiriya Upanishad, Vedamanuchi Acharya Devasina Manishasti Satyam Vada Dharmam Chara Satyana Pramadidavyam Dharmana Pramadidavyam, etc. So after teaching the Vedas after learning the Vedas, rather the students are going back to the homes to start their life as householders. Then the teacher gives a convocation address addressing the students, and he begins his instruction, Matru Devo Bhava, Pitu Devo Bhava, Acharya Devo Bhava, Aditi Devo Bhava, Yani Anavadyani Karmani, Tani Sevidavyani, No Idarani, etc. So you must study when you are young, and then after completion of your education, when you are already trained, when you already know how to lead a life of an householder, to play your different roles in the family setting, as husband and wife, father and mother, brother or sister, whatever may be your role, you learn how to live the life of an ideal householder, and then you enter married life, and then when you have become aged, retiring to a lonely place to live the rest of your lifetime in contemplation and meditation, and finally striving for liberation. So this will involve a lot of sakama karmas, sapta haviri yajna, mentioned in the Vedic literature, karma kanda. So these sakama karmas, when you perform with kartrutva and bhoktrutva, I am the doer and I am going to be the enjoyer of the results of my rituals which I am performing. When you do this with kartrutva and bhoktrutva, you may attain Swarga Prapti. So Bhashyara said, Sadevadisthana Prapti Hetuhu apisan. But then that heavenly experience, life in heaven, is not a permanent situation. After you have exhausted merits of good actions in this life, you have to come back to this world to be born again and continue this cycle of birth, life and rebirth. But the same rituals if you perform, the same actions if you perform without kartrutva and bhoktrutva, with total detachment or non-attachment to the results of the actions, without kartrutva buddhi and bhoktrutva buddhi, then the same actions will help you to attain sattva shuddhi or chitta shuddhi. That's a statement Bhashyakara makes here. We will continue this very important discussion in the next class. Thank you. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om Tat Sat. Sri Ramakrishna Pranamastu.